The journey that Hathaway and his partner find themselves on is going to project them into 74 locations in 4 foreign countries. So it's logistically challenging, but what you wind up doing is you go to Malaysia or Indonesia or Hong Kong, and it's very specific. It's like a core sample. We go way deep.
Michael will always take a location over a set because each of these worlds was unique in its culture, it was unique in its geography, in its architecture, and in its color spectrum.
You quickly realize, oh no, nothing's by accident with Michael. And he said that right from the beginning, that the film wasn't going to look like, anything else.
We had some particular locations that were fascinating. One was Hong Kong. They launched a quest to identify and apprehend a cyber criminal somewhere in the world. Following the money takes them there.
Loved Hong Kong. It was a different character in and of itself. The number of people, the small, tight spaces, the smells, the look.
Little parks with stainless steel railings and special tiles so that older people can walk on them and massage their feet.
I love the heat. I love what the heat made us do, the sweating, the feeling of claustrophobia.
The insane amount of detail per square foot, this almost Lego type aesthetic.
It's a massive compression of humanity into a very small amount of space.
Hong Kong was such an impressive city. I'd never been there before, and I went, wow, there's so much to see here.
What you would see on, for example, billboards out of the windows of the apartments was always carefully selected and very carefully designed by Michael to tell the story of how I think he saw Hong Kong.
You're in the room and you're shooting this thing, and you realize all the stuff that's going on in the background through the window, the neon lights and the sounds and the movements of the city around that area. It has that same sort of like, oh, there's something different about this. I haven't seen it before.
The challenge was always, okay, show me what you're going to show me, and I'm going to discard it because this is probably what you show everybody else. Let's see what's really out there. Let's see what other directors haven't seen.
He was able to find, those places that nobody would ever think about. It's like in Heat, we all saw a side and a color to LA that we'd never seen before. And I certainly didn't suspect it even existed. And there he was finding those places in Hong Kong.
By scouting on the water, we saw this thing. It looked like a display of Brancusi sculpture. So what is that? And I said it was the outflow of a storm drain.
Okay, ready, and action.
It said all sorts of smells, which none of us recognized, and none of them were good. And
it was incredible, right? And you'd look up the steps, the huge steps going into blackness where all this water would come rushing down, and you could sense the power. You could sense the violence that happened in that place. And no accident, we were there.
You're over there, and you guys, you start coming back.
The access to the bottom of it was through a 6-story helical ramp. It was totally sculptural, and it was a fantastic location.
You locate this guy, you're okay. You get discovered, you're dead meat.
At a critical moment in time, Hathaway has to do a huge roll of the dice. So I wanted a place that was as alien an environment that I could find to put them in. And the isolation that I imagined them being in was very dramatic. That projects them into a strange part of Malaysia called Perak.
here, right here, I looked at this.
Where there's a lunar landscape of tin mines.
John goes, I say action, and you continue.
from there to the heart of Jakarta, Indonesia. The largest Muslim country in the world. There's nothing Western about it. It's a really exciting place with crazy colors that come from different ethnic groups' traditions. The brilliant primaries of the Bugis, the boats in Kota Harbor, for example.
This extraordinary bridge in Jakarta was going to become the electronics market.
First time we went to the column, it's beautiful.
Michael wanted these specific local colors.
And then suddenly we saw some of them is repainted.
And the locals painted over all these beautiful colors into just white.
When I saw that, I said, holy mama, you know, I'm in big trouble. The local people heard about foreigners coming in to shoot, so they want to make it look beautiful. And luckily, I'm dealing with a senior director who have definitely dealt that kind of experience before, you know. Michael at that time just asked, can you stop? And then let's repaint what's already the damage. And that's why it worked quite okay.
Five men, 2 floors below.
We're in this skeleton of a building. I think we're up on the 18th floor. And because it was the night of transition from Ramadan to Eid, the fireworks started going up. And there was the beautiful sound of the call to prayer. It was breathtaking. I like working with Michael. He takes you to such pretty parts of the world.
You go from this digital tech world into one of the most beautiful ceremonial traditions of Indonesia. It looks just spectacular.
For the working out of their fate and the very aggressive, lethal hunt that they're engaged in, I wanted to find something that was completely opaque. So there's a Balinese holiday called Nyepi Day, and we restaged that in a square in downtown Jakarta that's called Independence of Papua Square, which is a monumental piece of architecture given to Sukarno by the Soviets.
Most people haven't seen anything like that, let alone to that scale. Most films would have said, oh, let's get 200 extras, then we'll CGI masses of people, but Michael said, no, no, no.
We restaged this giant celebration with about 5,000 people, and Colleen Atwood built all these costumes, totally authentic, and they all construct and bring various demons on palanquins that they carry. That take about 40 men to carry one of these things.
Michael responded immediately to the demonic characters. They're designed in a way that they give this appearance of floating, but in very dynamic poses. The sort of very expressive faces, the large eyes, these were all things that he knew as a filmmaker would show up very well at night, using nothing but firelight.
And you look at this and you have no idea what's going on. And that's the idea.